Worms. This
No,
is not
okay.
the cat podcast. This is the worm
Right, I know.
podcast.
And that's a lot of what I end up cutting when I edit this podcast is that I have to remind myself that it's not about me, and it's not about my children, and it's just about, it's kind of about me, but it's not really.
No.
It's like, it's about all of us.
It's
really.
about all of us. Because at the end of the day,
this is the hard-hitting podcast, Would You Still Love Me If I Was a Worm? Featuring your host, me, Sienna like the minivan, really like the question. Today, I'm joined by my good friend,
Norah.
Woo!
Woo!
Who are you, Norah? What's your deal?
My deal, I'm a marathon finisher.
Oh, yeah, baby.
And that's all I had to say. So,
and thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure. No, marathon finisher.
Yes.
First and foremost.
Yes. That's about it. I run a lot lately. I used to hate running. Now it's my personality.
Mm-hmm.
Cat mom of one, Sybil, a princess, a
She's
goddess,
great.
A tuxedo cat.
An intellectual.
A
literary queen.
Yes, loves to read, loves to sleep on books on top of them. Woman in fintech.
Yeah.
I work in IT.
Yeah.
Only recently, but that's also now my personality.
Yeah. What is your relationship status, Norah?
I am in a relationship. It's great, very happy, very fulfilled. I am also divorced, so I don't know if that counts, if we need to say that.
We can.
I mean, I don't know.
If that's part of your relationship status, if that's part of your...
I don't know, because when you fill out, like, when there's a drop-down menu that asks for your relationship status, it will say married, not married, divorced, in a relationship. So it's like you can't be both, but you are, like, you don't stop
but you
being
have to
divorced.
Pick one. Right.
Yeah. No. Happily in a relationship with a human man.
and from just an outside perspective, obviously, like, you and I are friends.
Yes.
You and I are cool. Seems very happy, seems very healthy. I told you very recently to your face, because I meant it, that you have very much a if he wanted to, he would situation. And he clearly wants to, and he is would-ing. And it makes me very happy to see.
Aww.
It makes me very happy to see as your friend, and also just as like a human observer of other humans. I'm like, aw, that's nice.
We have fun. We love to have fun.
Famously, we love to have fun. So I do know that you've been listening to the pod.
Yes.
So
an avid listener.
Are you familiar with the meme, Would You Still Love Me If I Was a Worm?
Have heard of it. Have seen it in your Instagram stories many, many times.
And that's it?
That was my introduction to it.
Gotcha. I find that so interesting, because I did not anticipate that I would be bringing that meme to the masses.
Yeah, and I'm so chronically online, but so, like, not in that space.
Sure. Sure, yeah, you're not really a meme lord.
Right. I'm more of like a film bro.
And I agree.
Right.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Speaking of being a film bro, you've been on a Dune kick.
I have, thanks to, in large part, your podcast.
Our mutual friend, Bryce Biffle.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had plans. I had planned to watch it eventually. Listening to the pod is what made me pull the trigger. And now I'm Dune super fan.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all in.
I love it.
All in on the big worms. I want to ride one.
At the Shai Halud.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that.
Thank you.
That's funny. We love to have fun around here. So I brought you here today, Norah, to talk about the sort of gender division, the gender politics of the meme that is, Would You Still Love Me If I Was a Worm? The worm girlfriend / annoyed human boyfriend.
Right.
Do you have any
fertile
pre-thoughts?
ground.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's at least fertile enough for 25 minutes worth of content.
Yeah.
I think it will be.
No, I mean, my initial thoughts are, I would, when I think, would I still love him if he was a worm?
Of your current partner?
Yes, of my current partner. I think I would. Yeah. I like the idea of, I'd make a little pocket and like put you in the pocket I think that's nice.
I like the idea of a shirt pocket.
A shirt pocket.
Me as the worm GF, I would like to be in someone's little shirt pocket and just be walking around.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where you would go. Do you think about, or have you asked, would he still love you if you were a worm? Have y'all had this conversation?
We've talked about the meme in the context of this podcast. I don't want to say I'm afraid to ask. Maybe I'm afraid to ask. I feel like I'm the worst person to have on this podcast because I'm really bad at this kind of like mental exercise of like, think of something that's totally absurd and like imagine it. And I'm just very like intellectually or emotionally resistant to that. I don't know why. Maybe it's I don't know.
No, that's interesting.
Like I just take it to a serious place. Like I can't just take it on the face of what it is and like run with it and be creative about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It's not going to lead you to like a silly hee hee ha ha conversation.
Right.
It's just going to be like, no, this is what I would do. And I don't really care to ask what you would do because I don't plan on becoming a worm.
Right. I'm more like, this is what the question means. Like, why are we asking?
The intent of the question, not necessarily the letter.
Right.
No, I actually think that it makes perfect sense that you, in your relationship and just in general, are not the inquisitive worm GF. I think it makes sense that you are the sort of exasperated human boyfriend.
Yes.
Because I think this is not necessarily like every woman is an inquisitive worm GF and every man is an exasperated human BF. I think it's the thing of like that awful question of like who wears the pants in the relationship or like the worst version of it, which is the like who's the man and who's the girl or whatever. But I think there are two genders and the two genders are worm GF and human BF.
Ah, so true.
And I think that at least every relationship between two people, romantic relationship between two people, has a worm GF and a human BF. And it's not necessarily always the girl and the boy. If there is a girl and if there is a boy even, you know?
Yeah, so true.
So I think it makes sense that you're not necessarily the worm GF.
Yeah, I just don't, I mean, maybe I am. I just don't want to ask. Maybe I'm the worm GF. I'm just not inquisitive. I'm like the shy worm GF. Is that a paradigm?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. I wonder.
But also, I could also be the annoyed BF.
You could be the annoyed BF.
Can I be an annoyed worm?
Sure.
I'm not annoyed. I'm very happy.
maybe just like a skeptical worm GF that you're like, I don't really know about this whole worm situation actually. Yeah. An existential worm GF, maybe.
Yeah. This makes sense because I studied philosophy.
Right.
Circles.
I do forget that often.
Me too.
I love to like remember things about myself. That's always fun.
And me.
Yeah. So, okay, that's kind of how you relate to this meme or this dichotomy is that you're not super bought in, or at the very least, maybe we're a little scared to ask, a little anxious to ask.
I think that's how I would say it.
Do you think that you would ask? I'm not asking you to do so right now.
Should we call him now? No. Should we call him on the
I mean,
pod?
I would love that. Me personally, I would love that. Would he love that? Probably not. Would you love that? I know that you wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
That would be horrible probably for all three of us, actually.
Right. So we won't do that. But would I ask? I'll ask and we'll circle back.
Let me know.
And you can tell your listeners next time.
I will.
You can add a little comment.
Okay, yeah.
We'll have an answer.
Yes.
By the time you're listening to this,
it'll be in the Q&A section on Spotify.
Perfect.
I did just put the podcast on Apple Podcasts, by the way, finally. So a little bit of the origin of the meme, which I think, when art is created, the artist does kind of have to release it and let it be interpreted however it's going to be interpreted. But I do think that this creation of this art, which is the OG tweet, I think it has a lot to do with the way that I've been interpreting this meme and been, for better or for worse, sort of embodying this meme over the past almost 2 years now. So in June of 2019, Twitter user @shutyourhell tweeted, me at 3 a.m. crying. Husband, OMG, what's wrong? Me, shaking, nothing, ... Him, it's okay, just say it. Me, IDK, I just feel like if we were born as worms, you wouldn't like me. Would you even marry me? Whatever, just forget it. And not to brag, but I am an actor, so I did put like a little...
That was really nice,
Thank
honestly.
you. Thank you. I'll bring that to my next audition.
Yeah, I think you should.
And I won't.
I'd hire you. I'd cast you.
Okay.
I'd whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are correct.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Later this same month, at Shut Your Hell tweets, now at her followers, would you guys still like me if I was a worm? IDK, I feel like you wouldn't. Whatever. Just forget it. So in the OG tweet, this is what I imagine to be an imaginary scenario, a fictional scenario between her and her husband. I don't even know if this person's actually married, for that matter. Mm-hmm. And then the next tweet is just her at her followers.
And I think it's interesting that the origin is if we were both worms.
Yeah.
It's, it's morphed into if I was a worm, but you weren't, how would you handle that? Which is a different question.
Right. I think so.
I mean, because if we were both worms, I wouldn't be a good enough worm for you.
Right. That's what she's positing.
That's what she's positing.
Which is even more, I think, so bizarre, so out there. Like, if we were both worms, you wouldn't like me.
Yeah.
And I think maybe like the implication of you shaking, crying at 3 a.m. about this is like, does my husband even like me right now?
Right.
And then it just spirals into, even if we were worms,
yes.
he wouldn't like me.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah.
I think that's what that implies, is that like that she's just spiraled into whatever right. insecurities,
which is so real.
So you're right. I agree with you. I also think that it's interesting that it has been extrapolated into, if I was a worm,
mm-hmm. But you were
right. But you're a human man.
Yeah. Which to me has always seemed like it's about if you had this capacity or ability and I no longer had it and I wasn't able to do the things that I was able to do when we fell in love and when we started this relationship, would you still love me? That's very serious. So.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Another tweet I have seen. And when I say tweet, now I don't actually know if this is a tweet or if this is like a Reddit post or what it is. But something I've seen online is like a woman asking would you still love me if I was a worm, is asking her partner to love her even if she became disabled or if she provided no inherent value to him or to their relationship. And I think that's maybe not necessarily where it started.
No.
Maybe it just started as like a silly thing about like at 3 a.m. when I haven't slept and should have been sleeping this whole time, I'm shaking, crying, screaming, throwing up about things that aren't real and don't matter.
Yes.
But it has kind of turned into this thing of like, what if I was a worm? Right. What if I was disabled? What if I had no legs?
Yeah.
What would you do? Whatever. Would you still love me? Would you still care for me? Mm-hmm. Would you still be in this relationship? Mm-hmm. And that's a scary question to ask. To your point, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Does Mike listen to the podcast? Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But he's going to.
Almost certainly
not.
No,
he listened to at least part of the first episode.
Oh, okay.
Because we talked about it.
Oh, okay.
Because he listened to you talking to your mom. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Shout out. IDK, do you have any additional thoughts, questions, comments, concerns about that specifically?
Well, I think that's an interesting place where the gender equity of it all comes in, because there are statistics, which I do not have, and I'm going to be that person that says studies show, but like I've seen a tweet, okay?
Right.
I saw a tweet that said a thing, and the thing it said the thing it said was that men in heterosexual relationships are more likely to leave a partner who becomes disabled or gets very sick than women are when the situation is reversed. So, legitimate question for us to be asking.
Is this something that you have thought of? Not necessarily the worm, not necessarily the Mimi part of it, but like, is that something that you have thought about or that you think about like as a person with a disability?
Yes, and we can talk about that for sure. Okay. So another thing about me is that I have Crohn's disease, which is pretty serious, and it kind of comes and goes in your life. So right now I'm in remission, but it would be extremely unlikely for that to last forever. Like I will probably get sick again and have to deal with that when that happens. So yeah, that's always in my mind is like, okay, right now I'm super fun and I can like go on a spontaneous trip to Vegas and I can run a marathon. Right now I can do all this fun, cool, spontaneous, physically demanding stuff. But there has been a time when I can, and there will probably be a time, who knows when I can't.
Sure.
So that's definitely something that I think about.
If you care to share with me and or the Wormianas.
The world.
Yeah.
The world.
The world.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. We'll workshop it. We'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
But is that something that you like talk about that you've talked about with partners?
Yeah.
Or that's just something that you kind of have in the back of your mind?
Mostly I just have it in the back of my mind. When Mike and I first got together, I wasn't doing like as well as I'm doing now physically. So like there were days when I'd be super off and he was always very supportive and he has been still.
Yeah.
And like I get treatments every 8 weeks to stay in remission and those like have symptoms and he's always very supportive of that. So I'm not tangibly worried about it really, but it's like that 3 a.m. spiral of like, oh my gosh, what if? But and then in a previous relationship when I was married, I was very sick and my ex-husband was very supportive and very, there for me. And, which is unfortunately not like to be expected.
I live with OCD, diagnosed OCD and major depressive disorder. And there are a lot of things that affect my day-to-day life that I have learned to manage and like learned to cope with. Now, as a person who's dating, starting from scratch as an adult with a lot of people, I'm maybe more prepared. But I'm now having to start a whole brand new conversation with a whole brand new person like that I met on Hinge.
Right.
I'm like, hey, I know we had like scheduled a date today, but I like can't go on a hike with you, or like I can't like go get brunch or whatever because I'm actually just going to be in bed all day today, or whatever. So famously, I have asked people that I've been casually dating if they would like me, date me, talk to me, think I was cute if I was a worm. But I'm also scared. I've had some, I would say, significant short-term relationships since then, but I haven't asked them like if they would still love me, like me, whatever, if I was a worm.
Yeah, it's like the gravity of the situation.
Yeah. It's too real.
It's too real.
And that's a silly, stupid question to ask. Would you still date me if I was a worm? And like, that'll be a funny conversation. But like, I actually, and I'm doing the emojis of the two fingers pointing at each other. Like but I actually want to know.
Yeah.
But actually, would you?
It's like a litmus test.
Yeah.
Like a very silly litmus test.
But with some real lasting effects. Yeah. And it's funny that thing that started as such like just a tweet that has now become this kind of global phenomenon. I mean, that was 2019. It's 2024.
That's crazy.
And I still see like new content kind of riffing on that original concept. I still see new content on TikTok. I'm not on Twitter, but I see screenshots of tweets on Instagram.
Yeah, can confirm. I'm not on worm Twitter. Now I am because I'm on Dune Twitter.
Right.
Dune with the worms.
Right.
But even I have seen worm content lately.
Yeah, like new worm
meme content.
One of my favorite newish tweets that I've seen was one that I saw maybe a year ago that was a spirit Halloween costume. So there was one of inquisitive girlfriend and then the picture is just an earthworm.
Yes, I remember that.
And it's like, this costume includes, I don't know, asking you if you would still love me if I was a worm.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite ones. And so that's why I have been calling like the two genders, the inquisitive worm GF and the exasperated human BF.
Right.
Literally because of that Spirit Halloween tweet that I was like, oh yeah, that's the thing. Is that it's always an inquisitive girlfriend.
Yes. There must be inquisitive girlfriends out there that are boys.
Right. There must be.
Yeah. Surely.
Maybe. I don't know.
And if you're out there,
inquisitive GFs, inquisitive worm GFs who are boys, get in the comments. I don't know. Maybe I will start asking. Maybe I will start bringing it up. I don't know, but it's scary. It's weird. It's weird because it really does feel like I'm asking too much of like a first or second hinge date.
Yeah, maybe the third.
You think so? It's a third date question?
I don't know. Do it for those of us who are too afraid.
But should I like put it on my dating app profile, or should I ask them like on the first date or on the third date?
I think it's funny.
Or in our wedding vows.
Oh, I think it's funny on the profile, and then you can do a callback in your wedding vows because they'll remember.
You're right.
Yeah.
My sweet friend Reagan posted a TikTok that she was like, people who post screenshots of like your Hinge DMs or your Bumble DMs on like your engagement announcement with your partner, that's embarrassing, and you should not do that.
I think you should.
She did have a caveat that was like, if your DMs are cute or it is something that you can call back, such as perhaps like, would you still love me if I was a worm? And then like,
and look, now I'm a worm.
Right. Look at us now.
Look at us now.
If you had told me when we had first met, I wish that I did have something like planned of like a final little nugget of wisdom of like, and that's why this is the patriarchy, you know, like something cool and political, or
like the synthesis.
Yeah. What is this all about? What is this all for?
The plot?
Right.
No, I don't
know. Lulz. Maybe this is just silly and goofy.
Yeah.
But also it means something.
I think.
But also it doesn't.
It can be whatever you want it to be. Is that the thing?
Maybe that's the thing. It's like almost anything in a relationship that you get out of it what you put into it. You get out of this meme what you put into it, which is maybe nothing.
Right.
But it's maybe something.
Yeah, and it's like, you can be like me and just be too serious and then not ask, or then if I do ask and the answer is like not satisfactory, you just don't, it doesn't have to be serious.
Yeah.
Like, it's not actually a litmus test.
Right. Yeah. If your partner is like, oh, I don't know, it seems like you don't want to be a worm, maybe I would just put you out of your misery. Then maybe you can just be like, okay,
block.
But or like, but if they're already like your serious partner that you've been with for months or years, since the holidays last year.
The holidays.
Then maybe that's a good time to ask the follow-up question of, okay, so let's not talk about me being a worm or us being worms. Hello?
She's asking.
And I would still love you if you were a worm, Binksy, but
me too.
But Mama's doing a podcast right now, baby. But maybe that would be a good time for the follow-up question of like, okay, but if I was on life support, what would you do? Yeah. But like my third Hinge date with
whoever.
Yeah. I'm not maybe going to ask that.
And I think that's okay. I think like there's a time for being in the moment. Yeah. And that's fine. And good.
Yeah.
And healthy.
Yeah. I would also like to state for the record, I'll address the elephant in the room, which is that I am a non-binary individual, but I do identify as the worm GF. Very much I'm the worm GF. Again, I want to be put in the shirt pocket or a locket or one of those little plastic thingies that like kindergartners catch bugs in, one of those little sort of like terrarium style things. I would love to be carried around in like a little clear lunchbox. Because I want to be involved. I want to see what's going on.
Oh my gosh, I always want to know what's going on.
We talk about this all the time. We love knowing things.
I just want to know. I just want to be in the loop.
Yeah, I hate not being in the loop.
And I think that's a fear of being a worm. I'd be out of the loop.
Yeah.
Do worms have ears?
Surely they can hear somehow.
Yeah. Like, how would I get the tea?
If you were a worm. Nora, I have a really vulnerable question to ask you.
Oh my God.
Would you still love me if I was a worm?
Yeah. Totally. And again, this is where my brain, I just like, I can't, I don't know if it's like, yes, I love you no matter what.
Sure.
You're my friend.
Yes.
But I just can't go there. Like, I can't go there.
Yeah.
I can't, I don't know.
No, that's so fair.
Because we're people.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Do you have that thing? Can you, if I tell you to picture an apple? Yeah.
I can picture an apple.
Okay.
So I don't know.
That's
but
totally
yes,
fair.
Of course.
Yes. I'll take it.
Yeah.
A win is a win.
A win's a win.
Well, do you have any final thoughts, comments, questions, concerns? Anything to plug?
I ran a marathon.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, you did.
No, I mean, I might have some exciting podcast news one day soon, but I don't know when that would be.
For now, we'll say follow Dirigo Run Group.
Yes, that's true. DIRIGO. Yeah. Come for a run with us on Saturday.
And maybe follow at Norah Tries to Run. Are you still at Norah Tries to Run on TikTok?
Even though I definitely, I'm still trying, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
What are we if not constantly trying?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
If you want to be runfluenced, come on over to my TikTok.
Yeah. Would you still run a marathon if you were a worm? Whoa.
Oh,
okay. Actually, that's a great question for you. Would you still be a runfluencer if you were a worm?
I mean, yeah. Well, for a worm, for like a normal sized worm to run a marathon, is it like scaled? Is it like a scaled down? Like, or is it still 26 miles? Because I think if I was a worm, I don't think I could go 26 miles.
Yeah. What? Okay.
I don't know what the ratio.
I think that's when you would have to ask your human partner to put you in their shirt pocket and run a marathon.
Yeah.
But you can be,
I can just watch.
Yeah.
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 I'd do that.
All right, cool. Sick. Cool. Well, this has been fun. Yay.
Bye.
Thank you, Norah. Bye.